Join us as we dive into this week's mess.
It's a mess. Oh. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to It's a Mess. It's my favorite podcast. I'm Jess, working through the mess, and I am so glad and grateful you came back to hang out with us again.
And hey everyone, I'm Rena. I'm your other host, and I too am excited to be here and recording with you all. Well, recording with Jess today.
Yay! All right, guys, you are joining us for episode 84, Friends. How many of us have them in our 20s? We're going to dive into friendships and things of that nature, what they start to look like in our 20s and beyond. And so that'll be a really fun episode. Before we dive in, we do have a little segment called What's the Mess? So I'm going to ask Rena, what's your mess?
So my mess is that I had a week. I had a tremendous week.
Yeah.
I went on vacation to Iceland. You know, that was fun.
That sounds amazing.
You know, while also traversing these feelings of being like just really insecure and unsure about myself, which is
why?
I don't really know. I just felt like I had to do a lot of counseling to myself.
Oh, because of the trip or while on the trip? It had nothing to do with the trip.
It had nothing to do with the trip, but it's just like, I don't know. I think I'm close to coming on my period, and then you know those thoughts and those feelings start to creep in. Like, why do you exist? What is this for? You know, we need to figure out your life by Thursday.
Oh wow.
We need to figure out a new profession ASAP. Like,
oh wow.
you know, just
Everything
stuff.
all at once.
Yeah. And then when I came back, you know, I got my dog and everything. He's well. He survived hanging out with the pit bulls and everything.
Nice.
And I threw my back out.
Yikes.
But I pushed through, you know, and ended up going out on Saturday and having a really cathartic and releasing conversation where I had the opportunity to apologize to someone I hurt deeply.
Oh, wow.
With the sincerity and reverence that they deserve. And I felt like that kind of helped me with my insecurity. It helped remind me who I am.
Wow.
Kind of put me on that track of who I want to be, allowed me to see that I was still lovable despite my faults, and allowed me to extend grace to myself. So I had like just a
lot packed in
emotions, and it was I succinctly summed up as a mess.
Period. That does sound like a mess, but like very interesting. Do you feel like once you had that conversation that your back felt better as well? Or no?
It's still a little sore. Like, no, like my back does feel better from the way it was. Like when I tell you I was bent over in a 90-degree angle.
Damn.
Like
what happened?
I don't know. I think it's sciatica or something.
Are you just diagnosing yourself or what?
Absolutely. I think there's some type of nerve that's pinched and a disc that slipped.
What did you do?
I think I just literally like I can't even remember what I did. It was such a small movement that I did.
Yeah.
And I kind of felt it like, oh, like, ow. And I didn't really think anything of it. And then it just progressively got worse.
Oh my goodness.
And then I laid down flat on the bathroom floor because that's where I go to like, that's my field, you know, where I want to go and just kind of lick my wounds. I'll go to like the bathroom, and I laid down flat, which I knew was a mistake. And when I tell you, I could not get up.
Oh no.
And I was doing this maniacal laugh. Like, I know my neighbors thought I was insane. And I was talking, I don't know who I was talking to. Or maybe I was a little delirious.
Oh God.
I was like, you think you're gonna keep me down? I was like, look at me. I'm like, I'm gonna stand up.
I'm gonna stand up. I'm fucking weak.
And I just stood there. I was just swinging my arm. I said, look, you ain't gonna keep me down.
Oh my God.
So I've been doing all these back exercises that I saw on YouTube, like just trying to like stretch it out. And it's like this after shooting, like radiating kind of weird sensation that goes like down my thigh and kind of like up to my lower back. So I think I'm definitely like on a nerve or something. Something just kind of probably lifted, nerve like slipped in there and then it clamped back down. And I'm just kind of like, fuck, you know?
Right. So curious, when will we be seeing a doctor about this?
Oh, I'm not going to no doctor. I ain't doing that. I'm just keep stretching.
All right. Well, that is not advisable, but
I
okay.
don't
As
need
long
to
as the
see a
stretches,
doctor. The
you're right.
stretches have like if this pain persists, let's say until next like another week, say until
Yeah.
Thursday, then I'll be like, okay, I need to see somebody. But my back is
Okay.
locked up like this before,
And you didn't go
and
see nobody. Intriguing.
no, I didn't.
Sounds like a pattern.
I don't think we give enough respect to our body's ability to self heal.
But it seems like it's reoccurring. And so
Right.
that's the only reason why I'm saying this is because it didn't heal. It has occurred again. And so sometimes, just sometimes, occasionally, just occasionally, the doctors be knowing what they're talking about. And now not all of them, and sometimes you get the shitty ones, and I understand that, and I understand not going. But the fact that it's radiating down your leg, and again, as long as you have a time frame of which you are not going to allow this pain to go past, I will back off. But
It's improving.
okay, and that's beautiful too.
What's your mess?
As you squirm because you're uncomfortable in that.
No, I am
seat.
actually stretching right now.
Oh, okay.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Ain't pay nobody's doctor.
I'm fucking weak. Girl, you pay that damn shit so you don't gotta pay nobody else to come walk with you and do no other crazy shit. You better pay that. It'd be fucking bedridden or some crazy shit.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I feel you. You're gonna be fine. You're doing your stretches. I think as long as you are trying to do something to mitigate, and there's so much information out there that we can try a lot of things. Because I feel you. Sometimes the doctors are just gonna want to pump you with medicine and not even really get to the root cause. So I am wishing you well though, and hoping that the stretches and stuff help alleviate fully the pain and that it doesn't occur again. Maybe you should keep up with the stretches even after.
Yeah, I think that's it. Like I was doing well like the last time it happened. I was stretching, I was doing well with it. And then you fall off. So I think this is just like, my half year reminder. Like
keep it
you
up.
need to keep doing this. And I'll probably, I'm getting older, so I'm probably gonna need to do this for the rest of my life.
Yeah. Probably. I just saw this 90-year-old man who was flexible as fuck. I said, let me get my ass into yoga. But yeah, okay. Well, that sounds like a lovely, so encompassing of a mess. So many good and crazy things like all mixed in there together, which is dope. I love that. My mess is that I guess I found myself this week in a little bit of a tailspin emotionally. I know. I have to have surgery.
Oh.
And I had hopes for it being minimally invasive. I talked to the doctor and they had a date close this month that could have been minimally invasive. However, that surgeon said, hey, we won't be able to do all the things that you need done for fear of this other thing happening. The best bet is for it to be open.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So I have a tentative date for the open surgery and it freaked me out. I was in a really emotional state. It was like, I was in a tizzy, let me tell you, because I just had all these fears and I had all these, my anxiety just shot up. I started researching the surgery, seeing all this stuff, how long it's gonna take to heal and all this crazy stuff. And everybody was so grateful afterwards, but it took some time to get back to this place. I work out frequently. I love working out. My job is a very active job. All these things just was like my mind. Then I started going into an even different emotional place of being like, my mom is not here. Like, who is really going to take care of me? I do have somebody that can come. So again, okay, all this stuff was happening. Then my logical brain kicked in. I have a friend who's already said they're willing to come and help me if it happens in the summer. It is a summer date. Financially, I'm just going to have to work my tail off so that I can take this time off and be okay. All this stuff, like my logical brain kicked in and I've made plans and I'm like, okay, relax. It's going to be all right. you
Mhm.
need this, and it's going to be for the best, and you're going to make the plans that you need, and all this stuff. And hopefully that keeps the anxiety at bay about it. But we'll see. So yeah, this week was a mess because I was just like, I think just getting the date and being like, oh, fuck. Like
It's
this is a
real.
big fucking deal, and it's real. It's real now, and this is like huge. And I'm like away from my family, and I hope that my friend can actually come. She said she could, but now that I actually have a date, it's like, okay, here's the date. Is this really gonna happen? And just it was just a lot. I've never had surgery. I've had stitches once. But like just, I still have the scar. I don't know why I touched it. I cut my thumb when I was little, trying to cut a bagel.
Oh wow.
Um, but yeah, it was like I was a wreck. I was a fucking wreck. I was just like reading all this shit, and it was just like my anxiety was like it was just I couldn't hear, I couldn't think, I couldn't see. I was like, oh my God, I was crying. I threw my phone. I was just like, ah. I'm all right now. I still have some trepidation. I still have
Yeah.
some, you know, I don't want to call it worry, but I do just want to make sure that I'm doing the right thing. I want to make sure that because if you follow the podcast, I'm fairly healthy as far as like trying to eat, trying to work out, things like that. And, I would like to heal myself. So that's
Mhm.
another confrontation of my body not being able on its own to do the thing. And so that's another, thing that was like going through my head. It's all this stuff. So
Mhm.
back to the punishment episode from however long ago. Or was that last week? It doesn't matter. Just thinking about the fact that when I got the
Oh,
glasses,
okay.
remember when I needed the glasses and I
Mhm.
wouldn't get them because I'm punishing myself for not healing myself to not need them. And I'm just trying to make sure that I'm not doing that by not having the actual surgery that I need and going less because of it. Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Um, I'm trying to learn my lesson and just like do it. And I can always cancel it. Um, but I
Not
need
you
it.
said I can always cancel it.
I can up until the very moment I can say I'm good. Um, but yeah, I think there was just this sadness also that I couldn't heal myself, that I haven't at this
Yeah.
point. And I
Yeah.
think that's so unfair, and so cruel of me to do to
Yeah.
myself.
Yeah.
Um, but
And
it was still a real thought and still a real like frustration because I've been like drinking I've just been doing a lot of stuff to try to make sure that internally I'm well. And for the most part I am, but just, this thing is just
I mean, you can keep doing those things, keep putting in
and
those
I will.
efforts,
Yeah.
so hopefully they can help you recover more
Yeah.
quickly.
That's exactly what I'm thinking too. Um,
But that's
but yeah,
hard.
that was my week.
Yeah, that is scary, and I could see that definitely just bring up a lot of different feelings.
Yeah.
'Cause, that's kind of one of my fears. Like, if I had, like, a major procedure, like, what would that look like? And
Right.
you're vulnerable and
Ask for
you have
help.
people. Yeah, you gotta ask for help. I'd be like,
Ugh.
I mean, but, when I think about it and I, take your approach and I change my perspective, I'm like, "Okay, well, maybe I have people around me,
You
and I'm
do.
grateful for that, and you have people around you,
I do.
and, you know, we'll talk about it more, like, after the episode, but,
Yeah.
you know, you got people there in LA, you got people who are not in LA
Yeah.
that are willing to help you.
I know. It's just asking. It's just being able to be vulnerable in that space in such a vulnerable time,
Mhm.
especially energy. I need really good energy around. I need people who are just, all these things. And so I know that and I'm grateful. When I look on it and say I have a plethora of people who are, whether it's like, oh, I can bring you some soup, or whether it's like I could spend the night with you, a two night or two to help make
Mhm.
sure you did. I have those people. It's just in your most vulnerable moments. It's moments like these, I think, that also bring up the loss aspect. I don't
Yeah.
think about my
Yes.
mom like every single day. It's moments of newness, it's moments of fear, it's moments of needing nurturing because I will need nurturing. You know what I mean? After this, I will need someone to just come and care for me and let me, whatever that looks like. If I just want to whine or complain or cry or whatever, somebody who's going to be like, I love you and it's good. You know what I'm saying? And so in these moments, this is when I feel the loss really heavy.
You feel the most vulnerable.
Yes. Yes.
No,
And
I
so,
feel that.
child, it was a week. It was a week. I was like, oh my God, I am sad. But also glad because I need the surgery.
Yeah, and it's not
So
at this point where it's an emergency where, you're healthy, like you said,
yeah,
relatively.
yeah,
So it's not one of those things where like you got all these risks. It's like we need to just go in there, you
yeah,
know, get them out,
yeah,
stitch this back up,
yep.
and
It's gonna be amazing. I know I've looked at all of the benefits of after the healing's done and all that. It was a lot of emotions because I'm not just dealing with the anxiety of surgery. I'm dealing with the anxiety of surgery. I'm dealing with the anxiety of having enough money to take off to actually heal. You need about 6 weeks, but I've calculated if I work this certain amount for up until then I could take off a month, which I think is, fair. And then hopefully I find a stay-at-home job as well.
and
So
it's
that I could
it's just
be
money.
home. It is just
And it's gonna
money.
be drawn to you though. Like if you set that
It
intention,
is. It is.
you'll draw it to you. You'll make it back.
Yeah.
You'll have enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I will. But it was all
Some
of those things.
stamps.
Some stamps.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of stamps?
Food stamps.
I'm fucking weak. They can't pay my rent though.
I mean,
Depending on how many I get. It's so ridiculous. But um yeah, so it was those worries. It was, worrying about who's going to help me in my care. It's worries about, or not even worries, just, the sadness
mhm,
behind not being in a familial like community and not
mhm,
my mom not being here, my dad not, just all these things. So it was a lot. I am on the other side. Not to say that I don't have any worries or any anxieties,
of course.
but they're a lot less. I've made provisions for working as hard as I can. It's like, this is who you are. Work hard and get what you need. I'm going to ask for help. I'm going to ask my friends if you know a stay at home, work from home job, please hook your
Yeah.
girl up. If you know anybody who needs some personal assistance, hook your girl up. I'm about to get my license to be a notary. Um, so hopefully that can be some additional income and things like that. Um, so yeah, I just, it was really rough. It was really rough. I'm on the phone with the doctor and it almost started immediately, but I was like trying to get through the conversation and I'm like, okay, this is the date. Okay, cool, cool, cool. These are my concerns. She's like, no, this and this and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. And I get off the phone and I'm just like, girl, it was a fucking mess.
So, yeah. Yeah, but
Yes, it's a mess.
yeah.
But that is the mess. Everything is going to be fine. It's going to be great. I'm going to be so grateful once it's
Mhm.
done.
Absolutely.
And yeah, my body can fully heal and just do the
Yeah.
things it's supposed to do. But
Do the
that,
things.
yeah, yeah. But anyway, thank y'all for tuning into that mess. That was a lot, so personal. But anyway, you guys are actually joining us again, like I said, for episode 84. Friends, how many of us have them in our 20s? Now, why did we choose this topic, Rena?
Okay, so this topic was actually introduced to us. It was suggested to us by one of
Come
our
on.
listeners.
Suggested,
Right.
suggested.
So, they pretty much said, "Hey, this is something. If you haven't talked about it already, this is something I would love to hear about." And
Yeah.
um, they attached this video of this woman, a lovely Black woman, discussing outgrowing friends in her mid to late 20s
Mhm.
and referring to it as the Great Shed. And that
Mm.
it's something that a lot of us go through. And in my opinion, it causes a lot of confusion and anguish, and it's just not talked about. It's like a very common experience, but
Mhm.
you don't really have people do a deep dive. So I felt like we need to do a deep dive.
Come on, deep dive. Yeah. It's funny because when you sent me the video, it was right after I had spoken with a young friend, he's like 21 or something, about his friendships looking different after college and how that made him feel. So I thought it was like super relevant, on the nose, and like a much needed topic to dig down, because sometimes you don't know. You're like, what? I thought we were, and so like you said, it causes confusion and anguish sometimes, and just hurt feelings and things. So I am excited to dive in. Why don't we let the people know what the agenda is for the episode?
All right. So the agenda, as always, is to dig it down.
Dig it down.
Which stands for define, impact, and cope. So this episode, we explore friendship, growth, and releasing, the impact in our lives, and how we did and how we will cope. We make each section clearly known so that you can follow along with us, have this conversation with us, with others, with yourself. Feel free to pause wherever you need to give yourself time to reflect, write, journal, or you could just keep listening straight through. Just do what you want to do. Oh, and if you vibe, we
tribe.
You just get worse at this. It's worse. You know what? Do we just need to get rid of it?
No. Maybe. I don't know.
Anyway.
I thought it was cool. You said I was lagging last time, so then I was on the go, and then you added some more words.
Too eager.
You know what? I'm not going to say anything. It's your thing. I'm going to let you say
now it's my thing.
It's your thing?
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. If you vibe, we tribe. Yeah?
No. I didn't like that at all.
Sounds like a hater. Oh, I hear a hater. No. Anyway, since Rena didn't tell y'all, I'll let you know. We are now to the definition. You good?
Mm-hmm.
You look salty.
I'm just waiting for the definition.
Wow. Okay. Anyway, okay. I believe how you define friendship is the key to this episode. I have, of course, checked in with my girl Google, and according to her, friendship is a relationship of mutual affection between people. It is a stronger form of interpersonal bond than an acquaintance or an association, such as a classmate, neighbor, coworker, or colleague. Now, I believe this is what causes most people's heartache, not being able to distinguish between the distinctions. The nearness of someone and the bond that creates, and when it's over, the feelings behind it, like college friends or neighbors, for instance. For me, friendship and friends have always meant a lot. I liken it to family that you choose. So when I consider you my friend, we're heading toward familial territory. And I think a lot of people feel quite similar. And so it's hurtful to lose these friendships. The problem, though, is that everybody in close proximity that you frequently speak to, that you have fond times with, become friends in their opinion. And so, I think that's my definition. And why are you looking like that? What is this head shake?
Because they ain't all your friends.
They ain't all your little friends.
Exactly.
They're not your friends.
They're not your friends.
They're not your friends. But go ahead. I'm sorry.
I guess for my definition, okay, so I didn't know what to define, so I just defined everything.
Period.
So I said friendship to me is this connection between people on their journey where they are willing to support, encourage, and hold one another accountable to their highest aims with love and respect.
Ooh.
Right. That's how I define friendship. That's how I see my friends, at my ripe old age.
Come on, ripe old?
Now. Growth. So I did friendship, growth, and release. So growth, I said, is a natural progression in life where you experience, learn, change, evolve into your highest self. That's how I define growth. And release is just letting go and creating space.
Okay.
That's how
those are your definitions.
Those are my definitions of these things.
Okay.
And I think I'm just going to go straight into like the impact with the rest of it.
Okay. You going straight into it now?
Oh, don't you normally go first?
I do, but you say you're going straight into it, so I was like,
I was just saying I don't have anything else to define.
Okay, gotcha. All right, so now we are. So now we are. You get on my nerves. It's so ridiculous. Okay, anyway, now we are to the impact portion. And I think for me, I have moved a lot, as we've discussed on here.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, every new move, I lost friends, right? And that's in quotes.
Yeah.
So by the time the end of college rolled around, I already had like a lot of experience in not remaining friends with people you'd previously been friendly with. And so the majority of the people that fell off, it wasn't a huge disappointment or shock. This is just kind of how life is. I have, however, had some close friendships that have shifted to more of a once a year birthday reach out kind of friend. And I don't think I necessarily foresaw those. In the moment, I was just living, but looking back, I always wonder about my part in it and if I could have been a better friend to keep those connections. And then when I think really deeply on it, I realize that everybody can't come with you. Everybody can't be with you for the long haul, and that's okay. The impact, I think, is that when people do remain, you recognize how special it is and you do your best to focus and be the best kind of friend to them. I know that my friendship is not right for everybody, right? I'm not a every day. I'm not an every week. I'm not an every month, honestly.
Every month, what? Friend or
communicator? Sorry.
Okay,
I was still going. You was already judging before I finised. So
because it just got further and further apart. You're like, I'm not a every hour, every day, every week, every year, every century. What? When are you? When are you?
Relax, my nigga. Relax. Wow. I think, I'm a when needed friend.
Okay.
I'm a when needed friend.
Oh, rent a friend.
It's not a rent a friend because
I am Fruber.
I'm gonna fucking play with you on this.
Calm down. You're distorting the mic.
Am I?
Yeah.
Oh, you're lucky. Anyway, I think. What are you saying?
I just stumbled on an idea.
I'm fucking.
Uber's probably gonna steal it from me.
Yeah, because saying it over the airwaves. But I think knowing yourself, then you can set yourself up with the kind of people that actually are okay with you for the long haul. And I mean, in your early 20s, it's difficult. You know what I'm saying?
With you.
Relax. Yeah. Relax.
Okay,
I'm just saying. No, it's not. I know you have more because you're absurd. What I'm saying is that I especially have come to know myself, and I know other people have different desires for their friendships, and I think that's beautiful. I know that I don't have it to give to you every day. I know I don't have it to sit on the phone with you and not talk. That sounds horrible to me. And if that's the type of friendship you need, it will not be with me. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I think, but I don't know that I articulated well or had really sat with myself.
Yeah.
Before college. You don't really have to think about it. Your friends are right there, right? I mean, I did kind of think about it because there was a friend that I had in high school who would reach out, and I just felt in my later years like I could have done better about being the one to reach out on occasion. But just recognizing the kind of person I am and saying, hey, these are the things that make me up. This is the kind of person that I genuinely am. With my friendship comes, if you are in a hard time, count me in. I'm there. If you're having a good time, count me in. I'm there. If you need to talk on occasion, count me in. I'm there. If you need an everyday friend, if you need a we sit on the phone and don't talk about shit friend, if you need an every week friend, honestly, it's probably not me. It's probably not me. Or at least I can't be the crux of your friendship. And I know the thing
That
is,
sound like codependency.
well, there's a lot of people that view friendship in different ways. And I'm not going to be the judge of how you and your friends, get on with each other, because some people just like that. That's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with if you both are giving to each other in that way. But for me, as for me in my house, I will talk to you when I have the energy, and oftentimes I don't. And I think as young adults, no, really, I think as young adults,
No,
we
I think
don't place enough understanding on other people. We're very much still self-centered people, which is okay. And by that, I mean, what is your
okay.
friend going through to not be able to be there for you?
Oh, that's interesting. That's a very interesting take.
No, that's literally what happens. We graduate college, right? First, we're all kind of on the same board. A lot of times in college, your friendship group is like people that you majored with. Most of my friends were all biology majors because we're all in class together. We're all out at the same time. We can go eat together. We can study together. Like, so we're always together, right? So your path kind of looks very similar. But then you graduate. Some of you went on to PA school. Some of you went to med school. Some of you were parents. Some of you got married. Some of you didn't uh, um, continue after graduation. Some of you flunked out. Some of you did some other things. So your life is looking a lot different
Mhm,
than what it did in college. We were all kind of equal and on the same footing. And so we
mhm.
know what we have. We know what we have to give. We have a lot of time to give to one another. But then life starts doing a lot of different things for a lot of different people. And so if you step outside of yourself and say, wow, you are a mother to 2 kids and I have none. I have a lot more time than you are going to have
Oh,
to communicate, to converse, to check in on me. And I think a lot of times after college, those understandings don't hit until reality comes for you. Until your worldview starts looking a little different. It's like, well, why don't you have time for me? I hear that frequently. And sometimes that makes me want to iterate more when I meet new people. But I hear a lot of, well, they don't check on me.
I think I'm learning a lot about myself. I
Oh,
think
tell me.
no, I think it's because I don't know, I've never said, "Oh, this person doesn't have time for me." Like, like, when you said, "Oh, yeah, we need to give, like, consideration to what, like, our friends could be going through," and I'm like,
Hmm.
I do consider that. Like, my whole thing has been me giving consideration to what I actually want in a friend. Like
Like what?
like, I feel like when I first, like when my first introduction to friendship, and I think a
Hmm.
lot of us have this introduction to friendship, it's like, oh, we go to school together, like
Right.
elementary school, middle school, high school, college, so I've
Hmm.
known you for a long time. So
Right.
we're friends,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Or, we work together and we get
Mhm.
along. So we're friends. Like I just had this
Right.
really loose, lofty idea. Oh, we're in the same place together and we
Mhm.
get along. So we're friends.
Yeah.
And but I didn't really know what a friend was. I didn't really have a
Mhm.
definition for friendship beyond we've known each other for a while and
Right.
I don't hate you, so we're
Yeah.
friends.
Yeah.
And so when you said that whole thing about like putting people in categories and like,
Mhm.
placing them friend, acquaintance, associate,
Mhm.
like that didn't really exist for me.
And it doesn't for a
And
lot of
it
people.
almost seemed like an insult sometimes to be like, "Oh, this is my associate." Like, some people would get offended by that. Be like, "Oh,
Yeah.
associate," or I'll be like, "Oh, this is my coworker." "Oh, I'm just your coworker, I'm not your friend." I'm like,
I don't know you
"I don't know
outside of
you
this.
like
You've
that."
never been to my house. You don't know my middle name. You don't know that I have a dog. I mean, I still call people friends for the sake of decorum,
Mm-mm.
but in my own head,
You call
I
them a
know.
friend? Oh, no, I
No,
outside of
no.
my head, I'll
It
be like,
depends on the situation. If it's gonna, I know the type of person that it is. That if I say, "Oh, this is my coworker," they're like, "Oh, it's my friend." And I think there can be categories of friends too. Like we are friendly. We have friend-like qualities. I know that you're an associate, and you know that I'm your associate.
"Nah,
We say
no,
friends and know the
no,
truth,
this
but the
sounds
problem is
murky as hell.
it's not working at
No,
all for me. I
it
very much know what category you're in.
You know,
Look, it's about you though. I think it's about you, and I think that's why people get their feelings hurt. It's about them saying to themselves, "This is my genuine friend." You have nothing outside of chemistry together.
Right.
You see each other in chemistry, you laugh a bunch, y'all pass notes back and forth, but you don't talk on the phone after. You've never been to their house, you never met their siblings, their parents, or maybe you did do all of that, but it was very much like,
it's just friendship. I felt like when I was younger was just like, how much space did this person take up in my life? And then as I got to know myself and wanted to take some of that space for myself or occupy my space with other things, some of them people got pushed out.
That's real shit.
And I didn't take any offense to it because I saw, okay, you done moved across the country. You're in a new job. You're in a PhD program or, I'm just kind of like, I'll talk to you when I talk to you. Yeah. But that's also like, because as a kid, like you, I traveled a lot. Like I let go of friends prior to my 20s.
Yeah.
So see, I think that's the difference when you've been like pre-K all the way to 12th grade. Yeah. And then y'all went to college together. I could see how you not seeing them in your late 20s would be a shock.
Yeah, I could see that. I was thinking that too. I actually had that thought too, because there's a lot of people who just put so much, energy into the people that they're just around and they didn't move. And so who you were with is just your family, friends, and your neighbors. And so we've been neighbors for 60 years, so we're friends.
No, I don't know you.
And maybe they are. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think the thing is just really recognizing what the friend is. And also, I think, I don't know if I said this already, but I have lost friends, like real friends. And not necessarily, or they just shifted. I think I did say that. They shifted what the friendship looked like. There were some very close friendships that I had that shifted to something different. But those oftentimes have a catalyst. I think what's more difficult is there being no catalyst for this shift. And I think that makes people very uncomfortable. It's like, well, what did I do? We are the center of our own world, and rightfully so. But that doesn't mean the same for someone else.
Yeah, no,
right.
That's
so
true.
your presence or your energy, you didn't have to do anything for their life to look different, and you maybe not fitting in the same way that you used to. That doesn't mean they're a bad person or that you're a bad person. I think we just have to, I don't know. It is difficult though in the 20s because it's also hard to make, or it seems hard to make friends in your adult life.
Yes.
Yes. Oh wow, I thought something was coming. But no, I think that that's a lot of the difficulty. We get out of school, and I know for me, it was hard to make friends as an adult initially when I first got out of college. Cuz I was like, y'all are weird. Adults are weird, I was like, y'all are fucking weird. And I already wasn't like I've always been a bit selective in the people that I bring in close to me. And so getting out and going into the world and not knowing how to find these groups of people that would fit into your worldview was kind of hard. So you get out into the world, you get a new job. All of your coworkers are 35, 40 years older than you, right?
Damn, what the hell?
That's a lot. I mean, maybe not that much older, but they're older than you. They've already established their careers. They have families, things like that. You may have a couple people that are your age. Maybe y'all fit in the same kind of cool vibe. Maybe you don't. So you're kind of leaning heavily on your friends to be like, hey, this is how the world is. And they're like, man, my world looking crazy over here. I don't really have time for that.
I guess, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. This is always an interesting topic for me because I didn't grow up with the stability of friendships looking like always. I never had the idea until I got to college that a friendship would always stay. Or have even, I don't know, the desire. I don't know that I had a desire to keep people forever. I do now as an adult. There are people in my life who I hope are there for always. But even that, I'm aware that life and shit happens.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm like, if it happens that I can keep a friendship forever, that's great. But I'm also at this point where I realize I like growth and separating on your paths. That's a part of life.
It is.
And we can go our separate ways, and I can still, want the best for you and,
Mm-hmm.
you know, still have respect and treasure that time we had together. Like, it doesn't always have to be a falling out. And I think in just hearing you talk, I think that's the main thing that causes the hurt. We always think, because we're so self-involved in our 20s,
Mm-hmm.
we always think it's something we did,
Yeah.
something we did wrong. And a lot of times it's just life. It's
Yes.
just it's just life takes you to different places.
Mm-hmm.
You're going through things. You're trying to get adjusted to nobody knew what it was like to work the way we work. Nobody knew how
Exactly.
it was to do like 8 hours a day, which is really 9 to 10 hours a
Right.
day,
Right.
5 days a week of
Still got to do laundry. Got to cook.
yeah,
Got to
and now
work
yeah, you
out.
don't live with your parents anymore. So
Mm-hmm.
all of that stuff isn't just ready for you when you get home. You got to do
Yeah.
all this on your own and you got to
Yeah.
pay for it. And
Right.
you know,
Budgeting your money, saving your money,
and
going
sometimes you
out.
just cry for 3 hours and
Wow. Yeah.
I'm
Yeesh.
just
I don't have
saying.
time to talk to you. I am in my weekly cry.
Right. And when you enter to that rat race, it goes by so fast. Like I
It
feel like
does.
when I was in college and in high school, I was very present. Those 4 years just kind of took forever.
Did they?
And in those 3 years after I graduated, went by so fast. I remember my college roommate. I picked up the phone and called her one day. Just she was like, "Hey," I was like, "Hey, how you doing? It's been a minute." She's like, "Yeah, 3 years." I was like, "What?"
You didn't even realize.
I did not realize. I was like,
Wow.
it hasn't been that long. It couldn't have been that long." I was like, "Dang, it's been that long." And
She's
I was
probably
just
like, this is wild. She's like, wow, blast from the past.
and I was just caught up in life. Because at first I
Yeah.
thought she was joking. I was like, haha, you funny, 3 years. I thought
Right.
maybe like a year, maybe a year and a half had gone by or something like that. She's like, no, legit, like 3 years. I was like,
Wow.
so a lot's been going on, huh? Like,
That's wild. I mean, I think it would be fair for us to start telling young adults and young people, in the kindest way possible of like attachment styles. I know we talk about that a lot in
yeah,
romantic relationships, but we don't talk about that in friendships. And I think being able to release anything is healthy to
yeah,
some degree. You know what I mean? So being able to acknowledge that something was a good and present and wonderful thing in your life and is no longer there, and that's okay because now something new has room to set up and teach you things and stuff like that. Like I have some friendships that I can honestly say I feel like will be for life. Um and there's some new acquaintanceships that's turning into friendships that could possibly be for life or could be for this season. I am growing as a human
hmm
and everybody is not fit to help me grow and help me see new insights on this journey that I'm on. And if that is just for the next month, if that's for the next year or 10 years of my life, I have to be aware of that. And I think we don't we don't give, especially for those people who have a lot of stability in their life, right? I feel like this hits those people the hardest because you didn't move friends, you didn't have to create new friendship groups, you didn't have to realize that that person you will never see again, but they were a good person in your life. I moved 3 of each school, middle, elementary, middle, and high, right? I was in 3 of them, each of them. And each time I left people behind that were really amazing people. They were dope. I experienced them and I let them go. I still have fond memories of them. If they ever came back around, I would speak and say, wow, hey, long time no see. But I don't need to keep them in my life for my life to be whole, to be valid, to be a good friend. You be the best you can be at this moment. You know what I'm saying? And I think we need to have more of these kind of conversations of the fact that it's okay.
Yeah.
And it's normal.
Yes. Yeah.
And expected more than anything. Mm-hmm. It's expected. You will not keep in touch with most of the people that you went to college with. You just won't. I keep in touch with probably like 10 at the most. And that's like really pushing it. I'm just saying that as an egregious number. It's probably like 5. You know?
Yeah, I don't have a lot of people in that friend circle. Like everybody that this is another thing for me, and maybe I have attachment issues. Um, a lot of people I came to realize as I grew older that they weren't friends, that they were just acquaintances. So
and what made you know that?
just as I grew and I kind of came to my own understanding of what a friend is, like that definition that I gave you, that's my definition of friendship. And I can't say that a lot of the people that I hung out with in college or were Facebook friends with fit that at all at any point in my life. A lot of the people that I went to high school with, I would say maybe there was one of them that I was like, dang, I wish I would have kind of kept in touch with her. Or I know that if I were to like reconnect with her, we probably would have a similar understanding. Like she probably would fit that friendship box, but I wouldn't immediately just give it to her. Like you're like my high school classmate at this point.
Right.
So we could develop that. So I think for me, just getting older and just your view of the world and what you need and what a friend is changes.
It does.
And I think Facebook has us really kind of messed up because
A
people
lot of
can't
social
really
media.
fully fade. Like you go on, like I just left Facebook altogether. So all them people that if you don't see my life on Facebook, you don't know me. Like if you don't have my cell phone number, we're not friends. If you have my cell phone number, that also doesn't mean we are friends. But if you don't have it, we really not friends.
Right. Exactly. Especially my number been the same since college. Like, if you don't have my number, we're really not friends.
That means
I mean, yeah. The thing is, I think that a lot of times it's fear that keeps us holding on to things that really no longer serve us. And I think what you said is key, like getting older and realizing that was never friendship. In reality, people's personal definitions, when they look back and they're like, yo, that was this or that was that. You know, it's like we had a good time, but I could never tell you anything personal. We had a good time, but I could never rely on you to even give me notes after class. We had a good time, but and I think a lot of times too, friendships are built on like partying and all of the extracurriculars in college. And when those slow down and real life presents themselves, it's like who actually going to be there for you in real life? Not because there's a college party and y'all both want to go drink and flirt, or because there's a college event that you both are going to go look fashionable at, or whatever it is. Like when real life hits, who's going to be the person that you can say, yo, real life is hitting me? Like when I think about my best friendships, and a lot of them are from college, those people have seen me at my absolute worst. My absolute worst. I remember one time my best friend came to visit me. I was in the throes of depression. I don't even know that I realized it. She and her son came to visit. And I don't know that I even said hello. And she said, are you not going to say hello? And I think I was in like this other space. And she was like, so you still not going to say hello? And I was like, oh, wow. Okay, yeah. And I had to like really come up out of this thing and like, that's not who I was. That was something I was going through. And even despite that, she was still there for me and saying like, I know you're going through some shit. Like, I see you. I'm here still. I just want you to know I'm gonna call you on your shit because that's the kind of friends we are. But a lot of times life is happening. And maybe the thing too that people need to realize is maybe you're not showing up in the way that they need. That's
Yeah.
hard for people to hear. Sometimes you are not the friend they need.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times we don't realize that the release is mutual. Like
Absolutely.
if I'm releasing you, like like there was something that happened where like it means you need to release me too. Like one person
Mhm.
wants to go, it's over for both of y'all.
Absolutely.
And and to kind of go into what you were saying about, maybe you weren't showing up well. I feel like what helped me cement my understanding of friendship was me realizing I had to be a better friend. And in
Mm.
order for me to be a better friend, I had to be a better friend to myself. Like
Yeah.
my friend who's like literally like she's my best friend from childhood
Mhm.
and I feel fortunate to have her.
Mhm.
She's known me since like before I knew myself. She's like literally a year older than me. Like so she like saw me pop out the womb.
Oh,
So
wow.
right. No, she wasn't
That's
there,
funny.
I don't think.
That's
I don't know.
funny.
But like she was around before I was around. She's always been there. And
Yeah.
there we really had like a real low. Like I mean, I moved to other countries and we didn't
Yeah.
talk for like a whole year and then I would see her during the summer. So that was kind of like how our relationship was. And
Yeah.
then like when I kind of came back and I was like going to Howard and I'm right around the corner from her, we like kind of got together every now and again. I would call every now and again. But like, I think there was this expectation that I should have called more. Like I
Yeah.
should have worked harder at that relationship, but I was so used to just seeing
In
her
the
like
summers.
in the summer. So
Yeah.
to have access to you year round, I don't know how to do that.
Right.
And I think that went on for a few years, and she would always be the first person to call, and I kinda took her for granted. I'm like, she's always gonna be
Yeah.
there.
Damn.
And one day she called me, and she was like, "You're a piss poor friend."
Damn!
And it, like, kinda like, woke me up,
Yeah.
It made me, like
Mhm.
and I'm like, I really don't know why she was still there. I feel unfortunate that she was still there because she really coulda just released me, and
Yeah.
had no choice but to also release her as well.
Right.
But like in that moment, I realized, oh my gosh, it's a two-way street. I have
Absolutely.
to step up. I have to initiate. And I still struggle with that.
Mhm.
She's still better at that than me.
Yeah.
But she valued me and I value her.
Yeah.
But it's we had to get to know each other in this new dynamic. That's another thing. When you grow, you start to have
Yep.
different needs. What I
Yep.
needed as a kid and what she now needs as an adult, it's different.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it's just but in order for me to show up and be more present, the a part of the reason why I wasn't hanging out with her as much and talk to her as much as Scott, I was just dealing with myself, dealing
Yeah.
with who I was as an adult.
Yeah.
Um, and I was hiding a lot of things, whole
Yeah.
relationship, sexuality, just
Wow.
in the closet. And that was really the demise of a lot of my relationships. And I don't feel like you have to be gay to be hiding.
That's so true.
I feel like there's a lot of people where like, hey, you're 25 and you were like a superstar in high school and
Yeah.
you went from being the big fish in a small pond to a little tadpole in a big pond and
Yeah.
you lost sight of who you were. You probably never knew who you were outside of
Yeah.
like being big man on campus, or in the building at your high school.
Yeah.
And it makes you want to like just kind of shrink away
Yeah.
and it
Yeah.
makes you and it's hard to show up as yourself in that when you just don't
Mhm.
feel worthy.
Right.
So it wasn't until I got myself together, started treating myself better, being a better friend to myself, that I could actually show up as myself and
Mm.
present myself to her to be like, "Do you really want to be friends with me?
Yeah. This is who I am
This is who I
authentically.
am." And
Yeah.
she waited around for that. And
That's
I will be
amazing.
forever grateful. I don't know what put it in her to do that.
It was God,
Right,
the
because so part
Lord.
of it that goes to tell you, like, if it's meant to be, it'll be. Some of these
I
people
was
you
just gonna
release
say that.
and you meet them again.
I was that's so I was
So
literally thinking that. I was literally thinking that. I had a friendship that was like Ace Boom. Like that was my nigga. And we went through some shit. We've come back. We're not where we were, but
Right,
we are still in each other's lives. And there
right.
is always going to be some level of connectivity between us. And, like you said, you have to show up as your adult self now and realize that maybe it's not a good fit.
Mhm.
And like you said, both releasing. I think it's easier to deal with if you recognize that instead of feeling like you've been released only
Yeah.
and recognizing like, okay. And also, there's nothing that I could say more than to say there's something really special about conversations,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think a lot of times we get into our ego self
Get into
and
your
it's like, oh, well,
feelings.
if they not going to talk to me, I'm not going to talk to them. Well, a conversation could have you understanding, like, I'm in a really bad place in my life. I don't have the energy to have conversations. I'm barely getting out of bed. I'm barely brushing my teeth. I'm barely going to work. I don't have the energy for this. And it's not you. It is literally me. And I hope that I'm well enough to rekindle this.
Right.
And then maybe you could show up in a way that is just like, I'm just sending you some soup. I'm just
Yeah.
sending you some meals because I know you feeling it today. And showing up in a way that you can. Like, these conversations between you and your friend could save a
Yeah.
lot of the hurts that I think some of these 20 somethings go through.
And to add to that,
Mhm.
you need to have that conversation because the way they respond to that
Mhm.
determines how they're gonna show up in your life and what they're capable of
Absolutely.
and their capacity.
Absolutely.
And because at the end of the day, like, there's some people who can hear you,
Mhm.
who can really hear what you're going through, and they can communicate with you, like, what they need or what they
Mhm.
can do, and then there's some people who be like, "Oh, you going through too much, so I'm just gonna go
Mhm.
ahead and get on out of here." And it's like,
Right.
I'm not saying you gotta get rid of those people, but maybe they don't need to be in a friend box for you. Like, maybe if they only around for the good times and, like, when you're going out to the club or you're going shopping or something, that's okay. It's okay
Mhm.
for them to be in
That
another
category.
category.
Yeah.
You gotta get to know who your friends are. And I think the way
Yeah.
you get to know who your friends are is first by accepting who you are and get to know
Yes.
yourself.
Yes. That is so true. That's so true.
It's
I feel
just
like
yeah.
mm, no, I think we are so, and this goes for a lot of things. I talk about this in romance as well. We're so used to being chosen or wanting to be chosen and wanting to be the one and wanting to be the friend, wanting to be the this. And it's like, if you show up for yourself,
Mhm.
everything else is extra.
Yeah.
Everything else feels like a privilege. And I say this frequently because it's true.
Mhm.
Nobody owes you anything. What everybody does for you is extra and a privilege. Be
Mhm.
grateful. And if it's not suiting you, release them.
Mhm.
And that's okay. That doesn't make you a bad guy. It doesn't have to be animosity. I know a lot of times when friendships ends like the huge thing, but it doesn't have to be that. It can literally just be our energies are on different fields right now.
Right. You know, Imma say it again, I'm just gonna double down on it. I think for you to be able to choose a good friend, you gotta be your own best friend first. I don't
Absolutely.
know if this is like some type of solo poly friendship type of
I'm
deal,
weak.
but
uh-huh.
you gotta be your own best friend first.
I'm gonna choose me
So
first. I gotta put me first, Lucius.
right. So
Yeah, very true.
so that
Very true.
when you have those conversations with people that you feel like may or may not be your friend and you're trying to like figure out what's going on, no matter which way it goes, hey, I'm still my friend. I
Yeah.
still got me. I still
Yeah.
got like I'm never like I have a friend.
Yeah.
I'm my
I
best
am
friend.
my best friend. Yeah.
And my best friend is going to tell my outside best friend
Mhm.
how to treat me.
Okay.
And my inside best friend is gonna listen to my outside best friend and receive what they have to say about how I need to treat them.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's it's just rough. Like I feel like overall people do not discuss change, period. Like
That's true.
change is not embraced enough,
Mm.
period. We
Mhm.
hold on to things tooth and nail, and sometimes that
Yeah.
does more damage than just the release.
A
Like
lot of times.
everything is changing. Our cells are changing. What did we
Yep.
change? Like our cells completely, what every however often you're the
Yep.
science person.
Mhm.
There's a time frame that you can Google, and I would
Right.
love to hear in the comments the answers, a little
Right.
trivia for y'all, because I totally know the answer.
I'm
I
weak.
just want to know if you know it.
I'm fucking weak. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But like
Yeah.
it's like we're not meant to stay stagnant.
Mm-mm.
We're meant to be moving, and part of that is our relationships.
Yeah, all of
And
them. It's okay. It is uncomfy. It is. It is. I get it. And I want to acknowledge that. And because I know sometimes we, at least I, have all these like, well, this and this and this. I want to acknowledge that it is uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to think you were in something and it ends up not being that. It's uncomfortable thinking you had a really good friendship and they were like, that was just for college for me. You know, I mean, it happens. I mean, some people are like that. Like that was just, and not necessarily, they may not even be thinking in that way, but they're just in the throes of life and they're like, no, I have whatever, this person fits better for me and helps me grow, helps me learn, whatever it is. But, you know, it is difficult to lose friendships. It's difficult to not see it coming. It's difficult to have had high expectations and hopes for something being a part of your life for a significant part of time. But the thing is, not only being a good friend to yourself, but being a good friend to others.
Yeah.
Will allow you to continue to have friendships so that you don't have to hold on to ones that are no longer serving you.
Yeah.
You know?
And yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the key to making friends in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of people, I think, are scarred from losing friends.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're like, oh, it's so hard to make friends, you know, in my late 20s and my 30s, my 40s and 50s. And it's like, well, if you're not kind of willing to be open to having new friends because you're afraid of losing them, then it's going to be hard. Like, it is already hard because you're not all in this mass class setting,
Right.
you know, and then even at work, you know, there's limited time for you to actually like socialize and get to know people. But if you really want friends, you can put yourself in an environment where you can make friends. And when you know, I think you have to be intentional. I think that's the difference between having friends in like your 20s, your mid to early 20s and, you know, childhood and everything, and then like kind of mid to late 20s onward. You have to be intentional. Those friends you made before, they were just kind of like happenstance. They were kind of there. Y'all kind of connected because y'all were close.
Right.
But making friends like in your 30s and your late 20s, like you chose these people. You chose these people from a knowingness of yourself and for what you want. And that's a beautiful thing. And yeah, there's less of them, but it's quality over quantity at this point.
Right.
Like if you really want to have a whole bunch of friends, you can have that. You can have like a whole big group of people. If you want to call them friends, you call them friends, you call them acquaintances, you call them associates or whatever the case may be. I wouldn't, me personally, but
right. You said not me, but good for y'all though.
Yeah, right. So I think it definitely have your grief over the loss of the friendships that you had. But then, you know, also know that there's this a release making space for some people who like maybe that one friend could take up the space of like 10 friends.
I mean, it could honestly, because you are being fulfilled in that way. And I think, you know, anything with repetition is going to grant you, I mean, you can create those same kind of spaces like in college, right?
Yeah, you can.
Do you like to knit? Go to the same knitting club. Scrapbook, photography, whatever it is. I mean, honestly, every space that I have ever lived, I have made new acquaintances that could have turned into like really good friendships because I'm doing stuff that I like. That's much to your point of figuring out who you are and resting in that. Do you like bird watching? Go to a bird watching club, figure out, get the bird watching stuff and repeat. Like I remember I was in, I did this stint one time where I went month to month to different states and I was there for a month. Right. And I would go to the same restaurants over and over. Eventually people recognize you like, oh, hey, you stay there long enough. It's like, oh shoot, there's a party this weekend. If you're into partying, you go, you're like, oh no, I'm going to a book club. They're like, oh shoot, I got a book club. Or they ask you something about yourself and you know yourself and you can say, hey, this is who I am. And they say, oh shoot, maybe not me, but my best friend has a book club. You should go. Shoot, now you're in a book club. Now you met your best friend for life type shit. So, I mean, knowing yourself goes a long way. Also being prepared for the releases that will happen over the course of your life.
Yeah.
Over the course of your life. It won't just be the 20s. Maybe in your 30s, you'll have met people and you're like, yeah, I mean,
talking to like my mom's friends, they're, I mean, yeah, they are releasing some people due to like
death because we get older and die also.
The ultimate release. But
that's not funny.
Why are you laughing though?
I don't know.
I wasn't laughing until you started laughing.
Because it was funny. Sorry. Go ahead. I'm listening.
But I've also been talking to them. They're in their 60s and they're losing people because just, I mean, I feel like they're kind of silly reasons, but they're their reasons.
Okay.
But they're, you know,
like what?
Friends.
What's a silly reason at 60?
Like somebody went to the hospital and then told somebody, and then they kind of had their own health ailment, which I think impacted their perception of things. And there was a lot of like word of mouth things going around. So ultimately, this person thought that the person that I was talking to told her husband that she was going to die. And she's like, I never said that. And then they kind of had a falling out over that.
Oh my God. That's crazy.
That is. But,
wow.
So I'm just saying, like, people have falling outs over time. And then I think what that did was like, apparently they had like some unresolved beef from decades prior. And then it kind of came to a head. She's like, see, you always meddling in my business.
Wow.
And, you know, I told my husband, who may or may not have dementia, that, you know, well,
he don't forget soon anyway.
I think he was not a reliable source to relay that information.
Right.
So I'm just saying, like
this is why you release in your 20s. This was a perfect, thank you for that. This is why, even though it hurts then, it is better to have released those people and bring in people who are the people that you actually vibe with, your actual tribe, be it 2, be it 20. I have released what doesn't serve me in my 20s so that when I'm 60, I'm not worried about somebody randomly telling my husband something that is damaging.
I think they were vibing. I think they didn't have the communication they needed to have on this issue that probably happened decades ago. And I think
she told the husband decades ago?
No,
this was a new instance. Oh, you said they didn't process the decades ago.
Right. So I think stuff was just accumulating and then there was a resentment. And I think
communication, people.
Right, communication. And then you never know, like people are just changing. Those changes don't stop. And in your 60s, if your friend is having, I'm not saying abandon your friends if they're sick, but like if they're in this space, I'm not saying that. I said I'm not saying that. But if they're in this
because really when you say I'm not saying that, it sounds like you're about to say that. So that just shocked me because I wasn't even thinking you were going to say that. So then you said it and I'm like, what? Okay, anyway, go ahead.
I'm just saying if their needs and, you know, if you're causing a stressor to them at this point and they have medical needs that are just kind of like they're safe and they're secure and they have their support system, but you're not able to support them the way they feel like they need to be supported during their like medical crisis, then you need to release so that you can free up that space for somebody else to come in to support them. And then also it frees up space for you to have somebody come in to support you. So I'm not just saying like, oh, because somebody's sick, but like if their illness gets to a point where like you guys are not compatible, and you're trying to support them, but they're not receiving that support, and you're stressing yourself out, you stressing them out, that's no longer a good relationship for either one of you. So, and a lot of people are, once again, you know, trying to figure out their life and how to live and how to be in their 60s. Like their bodies have changed, like people have
died,
departed.
Why do you...
You just with it did.
Because I'm curious why you have this pause. We'll talk about it afterwards because that's
I don't know. I feel like people
do that.
I feel like, you know, sometimes it can be uncomfortable. Maybe it's uncomfortable for me. I also like to find colorful ways to say, you know, that you've transcended, you know?
That's beautiful, Raymond.
Yeah. So I think, you know, having an ongoing evaluation of your relationships is key.
Absolutely.
And friendships, you know, romantic relationships, familial relationships, just, you know, having that kind of keeping that door open for communication and,
Yeah.
just
Yeah. It's
is
important.
important.
It's
So,
important.
yes.
Yes. Was
And
that all of our impact? Was there more?
I feel like that's mainly it. Was
Okay.
not in the order that I thought it would go in, but I think it served its purpose. Um,
Period. What is ways that you could cope with the culling of friends in your 20s? What is something that you think how would you cope? Weird to the cope,
how did
obviously.
I cope?
How did you cope?
Well, a lot of it, I just didn't even realize it happened until later. I was like, "Oh,
Mhm.
dang, where did them people go?" But mostly, it's just kinda allowing things to be. I think,
Mhm.
also building up confidence in yourself. And then also, like you said, realizing that not everything is about you
Right?
and that it could have been something that you did, but there's not if a person's not gonna give you the opportunity to fix it by coming and speaking on it, then what can you do?
Right.
You kinda just have to allow it to be. They're not granting you the opportunity to apologize, to say your piece, to, repair whatever issue occurred in the relationship. Um, and then just kind of going with the flow of
Yeah.
growth and change. You
Yeah.
know, I think, as I get older, I'm really questioning if things need to be forever. Um,
Mm. That's a topic we should dig down later.
yeah, absolutely. And I think another thing that helps me is just having faith that whatever is released will open the door to like a next step or something
Yeah.
better. And
Yeah.
then, or, if something is truly meant to be, it will find its way back to me.
I
So
agree.
being able to release without resentment or guilt, to just release freely, I think that's the key to everything. Just release.
I agree. I think, the way that I have coped, I have a lot of experience with releasing friends and friendships and acquaintances and colleagues and neighbors. And I think if you don't have those experiences, just setting yourself up for an understanding that everything isn't always, and that is okay. And that is the nature of life. We're not always, at least not in this form. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
recognizing that should you grow and need a different type of friendship, a different type of companionship, a different type of love, a different type of, connectivity, that's okay. And
Yeah.
again, recognize that you are not the end all be all for someone else,
Right.
and being okay with that, saying, I am enough for me,
Yes.
and working on that so that whoever comes in is extra. Right. And I think once you do that, then you have no problem saying, this has been amazing time with you. I'll see you. And like Rena said, if it's meant to be, it'll come back. I think I cope with losing friendships just by communicating first. I think we
Mm,
talked about this before. If I'm feeling like, especially if it's someone that you're really close with or you were close with, hey, I'm feeling like we're distancing ourselves. Is there something that I have done? And if so, how can I, mend that? And if they say, no, it's nothing, I'm just going through my thing, you say, okay. You continue to reach out how you feel comfortable. If it continues to be no reciprocation, then do what you will with that information and make the best moves for yourself. But I think communication is key in these situations. A lot of times we just get so in our ego, so in our hurt, that we won't even reach out and say, hey, what's going on? For them to tell you, oh my God, I've been swamped. I've been sad. I've been really happy and busy, or whatever it is. Give some
mhm.
people the opportunity to communicate with you about what's going on with them. And if you want to keep the friendship, then do that. Figure out a way to do that. But yeah, that's how I cope with communication. Grace and ease, obviously.
Yeah, in a
Yeah.
nutshell.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think the recap is simply that that's life. I mean, in a nutshell, right? Like life
Yeah.
is about progression. And sometimes your friends are going to progress with you, and sometimes they progress away to something beautiful and more meaningful for them as well. And that's okay. It is okay. You'll find the friends that are meant for you, and you'll nourish them, and you'll grow with them, and they'll teach you things, and maybe they'll be forever. And maybe they won't. And both are okay. Yeah. So that's the recap. Do we have any shout outs this episode?
I'm just giving a shout out to everyone, working to be their best friend
Mm,
first.
mhm,
So they know how
mhm.
to show up and be a friend for others, because I do believe that everything comes from the inside and then it's projected outward.
Yeah,
So shout out to you being your own best friend.
absolutely. I want to shout out all the people who were acquaintances, friends, neighbors, associates who've helped me become the best person that I can be.
Aw.
Your your input has been invaluable, and I thank you for that. And I wish you well on your life journey and your path.
And also shout out to our listener who suggested this
Yes,
topic.
thank you so much.
I don't know if you want me to say your name, but you know who you are.
We appreciate it. We definitely love a suggested topic. We'll get to that, how you can actually be a suggested topic in a little bit. But before we do, we have a little segment that is my favorite part of the podcast, and that is the meditation. If you are new here, what we do is take a couple deep breaths, we set an intention, take some more breaths, then we let you go about your day. So, what I'd like you to do for me is to take a big, deep breath. We'll take a second deep breath. And we'll take one more deep breath. All right, we'll set our intention. I intend to attract what is meant for me and release what isn't, without hesitation and without fear of the future.
It is my intention to be open to releasing and receiving. To embrace duality and not just focus on one side or the other. I feel like in order to receive, you have to release.
I love that. Okay, we'll take our last set of breaths. Take a big deep breath with me. We'll take a second deep breath. And our last deep breath. All right, your intentions have been set for today. Go out there and flourish, sis. Today doesn't have to be a mess.
But it's okay if it is.
So, y'all, thank you so much for tuning in again. We appreciate your continued support. We are so grateful for you guys putting in your suggestions for topics, for commenting on our posts when we get them out, for just fucking with us in general, listening to the episode. If you are one of those listeners who have a suggestion, please reach out to us at itsamess@gmail.com. If you would like to be a guest on this show, you can also hit us at itsamess@gmail.com. If you got any questions or comments or share anything with us, that's what's the messes at gmail.com. If you are on Instagram, social media, things of that nature, you can reach us at It's a Messes Podcast. That's Instagram. On Facebook, It's a Messes Podcast. On Twitter, at It's a Messes. And on YouTube, if you'd like to see our beautiful faces, that's It's a Messes. Just search for us. Is there anything else we need to let the people know?
Absolutely not.
All right, we're gonna catch y'all on the flip side. Peace.
It's a mess.
Hey, that's why
It's
I
a
can't
mess.
sing.
It's okay. He's gonna talk over my singing though. Okay, it's ready now.